Are we filming? Yes, we are. So welcome to another video. I've already made this video for channel members, a longer, more detailed version. But generally, I sit down and record one, especially for the wider viewing public, i.e., your good selves. This is one of those. This is one of those videos, and I guess I need to explain why I'm calling this video. The title is "Paying It Forward." I need to go back, way back, and I have been. I mean, I'm retired now, but amongst dealing in antiques all my life, I've dealt in books since I was a teenager, and I'm in my 60s now. But some of the books I have found have been delivered to customers all over the world. So I quite like that. But there's something else that I gained a lot of satisfaction from, and that is leaving books. I stopped it. I actually stopped doing this around the time of 9/11. Because leaving things in phone boxes, leaving books in phone boxes and pubs and cafes kind of probably might have been perceived as malicious. So it is a shame, but we have to react to societal change. But before that, I was in the habit of leaving, not notebooks, but books, interesting books, and I would put in the on the inside cover, I would put help yourself to this book, and then when you've read it, please leave it in a public place so someone else can enjoy it after you. Now, I don't know whether people did that. They may have just put it in the bin. The cafe owner might have just put it in the bin, in the trash. I don't know. But I would like to think deep in here that maybe I have that contributed to put a smile on someone's face. Maybe, just encouraged people to read books more. And as we know, people are reading books less, so because of the digital age in which we live. But nevertheless, that's what I did. However, I have thought about something. And the reason why I had this idea was because last weekend I stayed in a bothy. Now, a bothy is a kind of a mountain hut or shack, quite often in the mountains. In fact, I think all of them are in the mountains. There's probably about 60 or 70 of these, I believe, in the British Isles. And the one I stayed at is Wales, because Wales is my new country where I live. And me and a friend of mine, we had camping gear, just in case the bothy was occupied. But we stayed in the smallest bothy in the British Isles. It only accommodates 3 people, 4 at a push. But this is the thing. In these bothies, there typically is a visitor's book. And you would have thought that if you leave a visitor's book, it would be vandalised or stolen or heaven forbid, used to start the fire, in the wood-burning stove, looking around, well, how can we start it? We don't have any kindling. Oh, we can rip up the visitor's book. But that doesn't happen. That generally doesn't happen. People, I think, are very respectful because these bothies are so remote that people that have nefarious intent don't generally visit them. They're only really visited by people, aficionados, who like camping, and staying in a bothy is part of that. the general unwritten rule is you always have your camping gear and your tent or your tarp and bivvy. Some of you might have to look that up, but so that if the bothy is already occupied, then you can still, you don't have to walk back to where you came from. You can just camp outside the bothy. But there's a visitor's book. And for some reason, I forgot to fill it in myself, which it's okay, because I'm going to go back there soon and stay the night there as well, but people leave some sort of they leave their message, they leave their mark, and they do not, this is the thing, they do not know who's going to read it. Maybe no one's going to read it. If a tree falls in a forest and no one's there to witness it, does it make a sound? That is a ridiculous question, but it's often quoted because it provokes a thought process about that. And I would say, in this case, if you write something in the visitor's book, is it going to be read? Well, I would say it probably would. So write something about your, it's obviously an anonymous thing, but write something that you're paying forward your message. But this is my thing. This is my idea. And I was in my Tesco store, which is like mainly groceries, but it does stationery as well. Can be quite dangerous going in. I avoid the stationery aisle quite a lot when I do my grocery shopping, because I find myself drawn to the stationery aisle by some imperceptible force, and I end up with something like this in my shopping basket or my trolley, and I don't know how it got there, but I can go through that aisle and there's a couple of things always end up, whether it be a pen or a notebook, and this is what happens. And this one cost me 60 pence. It's a basic notebook, A5, it's 60 GSM, so it's not really fountain pen friendly, but 60 pence, 140 lines pages, which means 70 sheets, doesn't it, for 60p. So, I just bought it, and then it got me thinking, should I leave? Should I carry something like this, or something like this Sylvine notebook? These are one of my favourites, and leave it in an appropriate place. One of the advantages of leaving something like this is that it's clearly not a bomb. You could leave this in a cafe. You could leave it in a library. You could leave it in a pub, or in this case, a bothy, if it doesn't have a visitor's book. And if it doesn't have a visitor's book, what would I do? Well, I would leave this, and on the front page, just inside the front page, I would say, I would actually write the name of the location, the bothy, and just invite people to use it and leave it, not use it and take away. But part of that paying forward is this. Now, bear in mind, this isn't fountain pen friendly. I am minded to leave one of these. I remember these from my school days in the 70s, and I believe the recipe for the paper hasn't changed in all those years. And these come from an era before ball pens were invented. So when these first came out, people only had fountain pens, and I suspect that is the reason why these very, very cheap. These books are very, very cheap, especially if you buy them in bulk. I buy things in bulk. My goodness. But these are very, very good for fountain pens, and I've just done something here. I put fountain pen test with a cheap fountain pen, and look at that. No bleed through, not even any shadow. Fantastic. I can thoroughly recommend these. And if you're into filofaxes, personal size filofaxes, and you are frustrated by the fact that you want to use your fountain pen and the paper you're buying, the inserts you're buying, or at least the note paper isn't fountain pen friendly or fountain pen friendly enough to use with a fountain pen, and people in the know will know exactly what I'm referring to or inferring by that statement, that cunningly disguised statement. No names, no pack drill. But if you dismember these and then hole punch the paper, this can be a very, very good paper to use in a personal size binder. This is a Filofax Heritage, and you can see, if I just put it in here, you can see that it's a pretty good fit. It's approximate, but it's a pretty damn good fit for a personal size Filofax, particularly in slimline. And that's going to be the subject of a video at some point. But why am I fixated about the fountain pen thing? It's because this is a disposable fountain pen. I bought a pack of these, I think a dozen of them, maybe a year ago. So they've been in a box, and I've just got them out the box. And I thought, well, are they going to work, or will the ink have congealed? And no, it works absolutely fine, straight out of the box. That has been stored ambient temperature for over a year now. And this is a lovely thing. And it only cost me, I think it cost £12 UK pounds for a dozen of these. So they cost £1. So this is a fountain pen, and regardless of the notebook that you're using to pay forward, I would do this. Okay, and I would leave it there with the fountain pen. So what does that cost me? £2, the whole package. But that package, leaving that package in a bothy, and people are writing perhaps by candlelight or torchlight or the firelight of the fire. This may be the first time, this may be the very, very first time in their lives that they have ever used a fountain pen. And they may have what I call a fountain pen moment. And the fountain pen moment is where someone uses a fountain pen for the very first time and discovers the undiluted joy. I mean, I'm waxing lyrical here, but you give me some rope here. The undiluted joy of using a fountain pen for the first time and thinking, oh my goodness, this is lovely. This is a real nice experience. I know, maybe I could get a fountain pen and write a letter to my mum, or and surprise her, or start a journal, you know. I think it's a lovely thing. So even if just one person over the next 100 days of people visiting this bothy, 100 days might be as many as 300 people. Would you impart that fountain pen moment to one of those 300 people over the next 3 months? Who knows? I will never know. But I would like to think that if I do this, I leave a notebook and a fountain pen in a bothy or a cafe or a pub. But in this particular case, a bothy, I think, because you have a captive audience. They're not going to be drinking. They're not going to be socialising. They're going to be in this bothy, enjoying possibly moments of reflection. It's not going to be like a wild party where this ends up trodden on the floor in the spit and the sawdust of a rowdy gathering. It's going. So one of my neighbours is busy shouting for his dog, I think. So this is what I call paying forward. And I think if you can afford it, and can I afford this? Well, a couple of pound every 3 or 4 months, it's not going to break the bank, but it could make someone's day. It could get them into writing and fountain pen use. And to me, that is paying forward. Thank you for watching. And until my next video, goodbye.